I know it's been a while since I've done anything for the PC build vlog, but before we get into the actual build, let's go through all the parts that were used to make this PC. So I know I've left you hanging. I haven't really done much with this. I've kind of just been lollygagging. That's not really what happened. I've actually recorded this episode, this third episode of the build vlog, about 6 different times. I've had 3 different ideas on how to do this. So we're just going to lump everything I wanted to do into one video. Then I will get into the actual build, at which point we will then go into the afterthought. What do I think about everything that has gone on? How do I feel about this build? So on and so forth. Sorry, I am looking. It's actually spoiler. It's built. It's over here. It actually, the fan hum might actually be picked up by the mic. In fact, I would actually be surprised if it wasn't picked up, but that's not something I can really control right now. That's something I will talk about in that episode of the build vlog. So we've got a couple more episodes to go after this. It'll be the build, which will be pretty well cut down and condensed. And there was a lot of stuff that I've redone since then. And then we will get into the afterthoughts, how I thought the build went, things that I changed after doing the initial build, things that I'm still going to tweak because this is going to need a little bit more tweaking. But this episode is all about the parts and how I have changed my setup. And to talk about the setup first, I will go ahead and cut to a little bit of a clip I did walking around kind of filming it. So you will see the PC in its built stage. You will see basically the finished desk area, but that's part of this whole process. I wanted to redo it. So this desk is I forget the name of the actual brand, but it's from Staples. I will link it in the description below, exactly which type of desk it is. It's a 72-inch wide desk. It is about 27 inches deep and about 26 inches high. It's the same height as the desk behind me, which is the old desk that I was using. That has been moved over here, as you will have seen in the video. The space I have now is better. It's still a little cramped, and that's just because I have a lot of stuff going on right now as I've been retooling and rethinking. I don't know that this is going to stay here. You can see behind me my chair, a Staples Heiken office chair. It's a mesh office chair, $130. I'll link to that in the description as well. I had thoughts at a couple of points during this process of maybe taking a chance on one of the racing style type of chairs that everybody likes to go after, but I ultimately decided that was not for me. I didn't want to spend that kind of money. I'd rather put that money towards the build, and that's exactly what's happened here in this case. The money went to the build more than anything else. The desk was expensive. Everything else was pretty much by the budget book. Now, to improve the videos even more, you may have noticed there's a little bit better lighting. Now, I did not position these guys really in the most optimal places they would be normally if I were to record. I probably would put the other light right there, but as you can see, there's a little bit of a shimmer, and that is because it is almost behind me, and that's because I still haven't quite figured out how to light this area when I'm recording. I'm still kind of working that out, but I do have 2 soft boxes. These lights I picked up off of Amazon. They're eMart. They're the eMart light kit. They come with 2 lights, and they were under $80. And these were real easy to assemble. I may or may not actually put a really fast lapse of me putting them together. I don't know yet because I'm not really going to spend a lot of time talking about that. But I did have very little difficulty putting these together, getting them set up, and when I plugged them in, they came on, everything was perfectly fine, and they do a really good job when I actually have them configured properly. But as I said, I don't have them configured properly. In fact, this one is literally like right behind me. So I need to figure that out a little bit. The other thing I did is I picked up this guy. This is the LYX Pro, Lix Pro CMG 50 shotgun microphone. This one was about $60 on Amazon without the cable. With the cable, it runs $70, but I went ahead and bought my own. I have an XLR to 3.5 millimeter, and I have an XLR, a straight XLR cord, in case I ever get something to actually plug the microphone in besides the camera, because it does pick up a hum. I thought it was the fridge. It's not the fridge. I thought it was the furnace. It's not the furnace. It's actually just, I think, the internal components of the camera, because you can hear it when the camera is just recording without the shotgun microphone. So I'm using that to improve the audio quality. Takes a little bit of tweaking in Adobe Premiere Pro to make it work, but we ultimately make it work. And I think that covers it for the setup. Desk, chair, microphone, lights. Those are the improvements I've made to this point in the setup. And as you saw in the video, the clip a moment ago, it came out pretty good. I have a lot more space back here, and I have a lot more for things that I want to do on this desk. In fact, I do actually have an area where I can put stuff down and kind of not be trying to squeeze it in front of the keyboard like I was before. So this actual computer itself, this is what I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I finally compiled all the parts. I've actually already done it, but I did still, like I said, wanted to do a video on the parts that went in. Now, if you saw the first 2 episodes of this build vlog, you saw the NZXT H440 case. I do have a power supply bracket now, and I did figure out a way to rig it closed without the thumb screws that are supposed to be there, because the thumb screws that are on the 3.5 inch bays for hard drives actually work with the power supply bracket. So I did find a workaround for that, since I've never received any power supply screws. In fact, I will talk about this case in the follow-up video. There's a lot of stuff that I really feel like needs to be addressed by NZXT about this case, especially if you're going to sell people refurbished case, because I've had a few issues resulted from that. So that was the case. You saw the power supply, the Corsair RM850. You saw the memory, the G.Skill Ripjaw 5 DDR4, 2400 megahertz. We have 32 gigabytes of it. Everything is fine and dandy with that. Now, the biggest decision I had to make was processor. I was waiting for Ryzen. Ryzen came out. I was not impressed. I am a 1080p gamer, and I just could not bring myself to spend more for a Ryzen CPU to get the CPU power, but actually lose a little bit in gaming performance. So I ultimately did not go with Ryzen. I stuck with Intel. I have an i7-5820K, and we will be tinkering around with overclocks on that. That has been seated in an ASUS X99 A-II motherboard. Pretty good price on that. Again, all these parts, by the way, will be listed in the description below. There will be a link to PC Part Picker that you can click on to see how much I actually paid for each one of these components. Now, for storage, we did go with the Samsung SM951 256 gigabyte solid state drive M.2 NVMe form. It's actually pretty solid. Solid state. We have a 1 terabyte Samsung Evo 850. That is for my Steam library. We have a Samsung 850 Evo 500 gigabyte for my Uplay, Windows games, Origin. Side note: I am putting Grand Theft Auto 5 on the Steam hard drive. So the solid state drives, the Evos, are strictly for gaming. So that really, if something happens to those hard drives, I'm not losing anything in the long run. There are 2 hard drive disks for storage. We have a 2 terabyte Seagate Barracuda at 7200 RPMs. We have a 4 terabyte Seagate Barracuda at 7200 RPMs, and those are going to be for my storage. The 2 terabyte will be recorded to. The 4 terabyte will be my main mass storage, so that I am not cluttering up my external drive. I will be using my external drive more as a shuttle, so it may actually move. It's over here underneath one of my monitors. It may move over here where the Xbox is, so I can transfer files back and forth between the two pretty easily. We shall see, though. I'm still trying to figure all this out, because I could really use this guy if I wanted to shuttle files, because this is a 128 gigabyte USB flash drive at 3.0. Continuing on with the list, the CPU is being cooled by an NZXT X62 Kraken. That has presented its own minor issues, nothing substantially major, but there are issues with that as well. Mostly it's the fans. The fans are annoying me right now. I'm still working on that. That actually might be solved by the time I get around to the final thoughts video. That's the word I've been looking for. Final. Probably because I just installed After Effects, so I have After sitting in my head. What else do I have in here? Oh yeah, the big boy that's in there. The ASUS GTX 1070 Strix OC edition. And I am impressed by this card now that I actually have a working card. Story behind that as well. Fantastic little card. It's already factory overclocked. You can push it a little bit more out of the box now. Unfortunately, the more recent versions are using Micron memory. When that one does not overclock, the memory on those does not overclock as well as those that have the Samsung memory. I've seen posts on forums of people were able to push their memory up to 9400 megahertz. This is at 808 megahertz out of the box. And unfortunately, I can get it up to about 9050 megahertz. After that, Heaven and Valley start crashing. And I think if I reduced the actual clock speed overclock that I put on, I could probably squeeze more memory. I'm still fine-tuning that a little bit. My bigger issue there is the overclocking software. GPU Tweak 2 is not saving. But again, these are all for final thoughts. This is stuff I will talk about in another video. This is just the parts list. So that is my graphics card. It's a GTX 1070. It was giving me 70 to 80 FPS in Battlefield 1 at Ultra. So can't really shake a stick at that. We have AverMedia ballistic speakers. I won these like 2 years ago in a contest. I've never used them. I finally have a reason to use them. They're a little finicky, it seems, especially if I have the actual CPU volume too high. But I bring that down and it seems to sort itself out a little bit. And I have a second display. It is an AOC 2460p f 144 Hz 1080p display. It is actually a FreeSync monitor, but it works perfectly fine with NVIDIA. I've been running games into the low 90s and 100s on frame rates and have not seen any kind of screen tearing. And that was my BenQ and the AOC are on a dual monitor, a dual arm system. So they are attached to the end of my desk and they are just kind of hanging out there. And I like the way they look. And if you saw the video, you saw that setup. So those are the parts that are going in. That is what I decided to go with for this build. If you have any thoughts about this, if you have any suggestions on what I could have done differently, if you think that I made a mistake, let me know about it in the comments below. I will try to get back to you as long as it's mostly polite. If you are too snarky though, I probably will ignore it. But anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of the build vlog. This has been episode 3. Talked about the setup. We talked about the parts. If I forgot anything, you'll see it in the next video, which will be the actual build vlog. So until then, I will catch you guys next time.